You know, there's a reason why Cleveland is the heart of rock and roll. It's not only the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but the term itself was popularized by Northeast Ohio radio disc jockey Alan Freed on mainstream radio in the early 1950s. And what else was going on in the early 50s? You got it, Elvis. And Northeast Ohio was indeed on Elvis's tour schedule just as he was getting ready to launch into stardom, later becoming the king of rock and roll. And today we're going to talk about one of Elvis's early trips to Ohio, the Brooklyn High School Auditorium in Brooklyn, Ohio, just 10 miles southwest of Cleveland. We'll share with you some history, talk to a former student who was actually there at the show, and visit the very auditorium where it all happened. So come along with us. This is going to be a pretty special gig, right here on History and Relics. Elvis Presley, the Tupelo, Mississippi boy, born in 1935, would soon make his mark on the world and would come to represent and define the term rock and roll in the early 1950s, a term initially used by Billboard in the late 1940s but made popular by the Northeast Ohio radio disc jockey Alan Freed on mainstream radio. In the early years, Elvis toured with other acts and was not always considered the main attraction. His first trip to Northeast Ohio was for two shows on February 26, 1955, called the Hillbilly Jamboree, hosted at the Circle Theater in Cleveland. In October 1955, Elvis returned to Northeast Ohio, playing once more at the Circle Theater on the 19th with country music legends Roy Acuff and Kitty Wells. But on the next day, the 20th, he played a matinee at the Brooklyn High School in Brooklyn, Ohio, just 10 miles southwest of Cleveland, along with Bill Haley and the Comets, Pat Boone, and the Four Lads, among others. Later that evening, the groups played at St. Michael's Hall in Cleveland, where Bill Randall later recalled that Elvis smashed his guitar on the floor after breaking a guitar string, causing the place to go crazy with screaming fans, and requiring the police to escort him and the other performers out of the building after the show. A much different crowd reaction here versus the Brooklyn show performed just hours earlier. According to Brooklyn Historical Society member John Gerald, who was there at the show, the concert at Brooklyn High was primarily organized by Tommy Edwards and Bill Randall, the nation's top jock at the time, according to Time magazine in 1955. All right, today we have John Gerald, the Brooklyn Historical Society here in Brooklyn, Ohio. And we're going to find out his information and what he knows about the Elvis Presley concert and the Elvis Presley appearance in Brooklyn in October of 1955. John, thank you and welcome.
Okay. Well, to start out with, some of the older, I was in the 9th grade in 1955, and a couple of the girls in the class and some older ones would go down to Bill Randall's studio on weekends and listen to what he had to say and talk with him and so forth. And evidently they got such a rapport with him that he decided to bring to Brooklyn High School Pat Boone, Elvis Presley. Pat Boone was the top man for the show, and we have pictures of him in our yearbook. And Elvis was there with his blue suede shoes on, and I believe he had a red suit coat on, and he played a couple tunes, and the rest of the entertainers, and we had a good time. We had a lot of assemblies because we had a new auditorium. I think it was maybe in '55, it maybe was only 2 years old. So we did have all kinds of people who came there to entertain us. Speakers from different parts of the United States talking about different items and all that. And we were very polite when we went there.
Sure.
When the program started, the superintendent would come out and talk, and then the principal would come out, and so we behaved ourselves.
Sure.
It wasn't like what you would see today, people throwing stuff and screaming and hollering and all that.
Right.
It was an auditorium program, and
now was the show open to the public or just high school students?
just to our high school.
Okay.
But we had to be careful that other people didn't sneak in.
Okay.
Now, maybe Mayor Coyne may have come there and a few other people from
Sure.
the City Hall and all that.
Yeah.
But it was not open to other schools or anything, grade schools or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's very
And it was
interesting.
very politely done. The Elvis program, as I remember, it was just a program. It was entertaining. The kids liked it. He did have a following. There was quite a few girls that lived up in the project here who thought Elvis was a pretty clever entertainer. And over the years, listening and seeing Elvis Presley on Ed Sullivan repeats and all that on television on decades, everybody liked him. There was a quality about the man that was just very unique as a human being. He was the type of person that you could never find a fault with or anything like that. Yeah.
Was that the only time that you ever seen Elvis in concert? Was that '55?
That was
show?
it.
That was
it. Yeah.
Okay.
I never saw him ever again or anything like that. No.
All right. Bill Randall was a weekday broadcaster on WERE in Cleveland and hosted a Saturday morning show for CBS in New York. During 1955 and 1956, he had the highest rating of any radio performer. Randall scripted a radio contest where the winning school was treated to a concert. As John Geralds explained, many students prompted Randall to have the show at Brooklyn High. And it didn't hurt that Randall was already friends with Principal John Neiman, who was very receptive to assemblies, especially since Brooklyn had just gotten a new auditorium constructed that featured plenty of seating, about 900, proper lighting and sound, as well as curtains designed and made by the famous Salvador Dali in a pattern called Spring Rain. Remnants of the stage curtains made by Salvador Dali can also be seen at the Brooklyn Historical Society. Pretty cutting edge and modern for its day for sure. And as John Geralds explains, the original stage flooring has since been replaced, but remnants of it were also preserved into pieces commemorating this great concert. So the flooring was taken from the auditorium.
Right. When they redid the floor for the stage back in, I don't know, the 70s or 80s, whatever it was, they put the flooring in a large closet, and it still belonged to the Board of Education.
Okay.
So they never threw it away. And then finally somebody decided to get rid of it, and that's when we were able to save part of the flooring.
Okay. Well, that certainly is a one-of-a-kind, very unique historical piece for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's sneak down here and take another look at it real quick. That is truly something else. That is really neat. Well, John, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. You've definitely given us a snapshot back in time and back in history a little bit, and a little reminiscence of that time period.
Yeah.
And kind of turn back the clock a little bit, and hope to preserve the story here on our channel. And I want to thank you for your time on that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, speaking of Brooklyn High School, we recently received permission from the school district on behalf of Superintendent Dr. Theodore Caleres to film and photograph the very auditorium where this 1955 show took place. Mr. Claris was gracious to provide us with a tour. Now, while the stage flooring has since been replaced, the seats are the same, as well as the overall feel of the auditorium. A very well-preserved theater, and what a thrill it was to take to the stage and envision being there with Elvis some 67 years earlier. Take a look at this view. What a cool experience. It's a whole other feeling when you know that the likes of Elvis, Bill Haley and the Comets, and Pat Boone once graced this same area. Just incredible. Now you might be asking, what songs did these groups play? So let's delve into what their set list would have included. The Four Lads, a quartet from Toronto and discovered by Mitch Miller, likely would have sung The Mockingbird, Moments to Remember, and Istanbul. For Pat Boone, he had 2 hit singles with Dot Records in 1955 for Two Hearts, Two Kisses, originally sung by the R&B group The Charms, as well as his cover of Fats Domino's Ain't That a Shame, which went all the way to number 1 in the charts, even topping Fats' version that only made it to number 10. Bill Haley and the Comets had already appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show by this time, and anyone familiar with the movie American Graffiti or the hit TV show Happy Days from the 70s and 80s knows very well the theme song Rock Around the Clock, which was originally released by the band in May 1954. Another smash hit, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, would have also been performed at Brooklyn High. As for Elvis, now remember that his appearance here at Brooklyn High was long before his turn on The Ed Sullivan Show and before Colonel Tom Parker officially became his sole manager. Elvis had just released Mystery Train in August, but also performed That's All Right, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Good Rockin' Tonight, and I Forgot to Remember to Forget, all recordings under the Sun Records label. Elvis was joined by the Blue Moon Boys, a band that he started featuring guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black. DJ Fontana was also a member of the band, coming on board during the Louisiana Hayride Tour in early 1955, but missed this show and a few others as he was recovering from gallbladder surgery. For those who were at Brooklyn High School in 1955, most had no idea that they were witnessing history in the making. All these years later, it's still a big to-do for folks like John Geralds, who was there at the show in person. Fortunately, physical reminders still exist too, such as the remnants of the Salvador Dali curtains that hung on stage during the show, portions of the original flooring preserved to commemorate the show, and the eaglet, the 1956 Brooklyn High School yearbook that highlighted the 1955 show. These, along with several great photos from the Cleveland and Brooklyn shows, remain in circulation, as well as with the Brooklyn Historical Society. But with that comes a bit of mystery, as it's also been said that Bill Randall produced a film documentary featuring the Brooklyn High School show entitled The Pied Piper of Cleveland, a day in the life of a famous disc jockey. Pat Boone once stated that he believed it was the reason why Randall wanted him to come to Cleveland in the first place, as he was the headliner in the film. Some say the movie was never released. Others say it was only shown in the Cleveland area. Still others believe the movie was never made at all and doesn't exist. Yet there are reports that Randall sold the rights to a large record company, but other reports have it that a large movie studio has the negatives to the film. There's even an account that says Colonel Tom Parker bought the film and destroyed existing copies. We just aren't quite sure what happened, or what exists, if anything. What we do know is that the concert itself was for real, made great memories for those who were there, and made rock and roll history in the Brooklyn and surrounding Cleveland areas. In 1998, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame installed a plaque at Brooklyn High School, making the school an official rock and roll landmark and commemorating the 1955 concert as well as the filmed movie. But as for now, the existence or the whereabouts of the movie remains a mystery. But if you have any clues or theories to share, we'd love to hear them. Just drop us a comment. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our program. If you like our content, we ask that you give us a thumbs up, a like, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you always know when our new content is published. And all of this costs nothing, but means a lot to us and keeps us growing. You may also leave us a tip if you choose. The address is provided here on your screen, and a link is provided in the description area below. So until next time, everyone, this one is history. Hey, and be sure to check out our eBay store under ID, History and Relics. We're now featuring channel merchandise, starting with our new logo magnet. They're only $5.50, and net proceeds go towards supporting our channel.